Hello guys, in this video we're going to be doing something that a lot of barbers struggle with, which is long hair. So I know a lot of guys or a lot of barbers don't really do long hair, they don't really know how to do long hair, and they don't know how to make long hair look like a masculine haircut either. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you the process of breaking the haircut down into panels, putting the correct shape in, and also just a bit of sectioning, controlling the sections, or learning how to control the sections a bit more. So with Max's hair, he likes to wear his hair up in a bun here and have all this coming down, but he's been growing it out from a shorter length, so a lot of this stuff here is already going to be too short. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bit of shape through the back. He has a bit of a corner that's been either cut in or is built up here that we're going to take off. It looks like it's been done as a square layer before, and we don't actually really want that. What we're going to do with his hair is we're going to put a round layer through it, and we're going to take this corner off, and this means when he styles his hair back and all the curls curl up, it's not going to puff up loads behind his ears here. And then also we're going to put in like a bit of a more even and stronger kind of baseline at the bottom here, so that it's not kind of falling down as heavy just in the middle here. And that means when he ties this up here, this is going to sit in a nice kind of like even shape at the bottom. So first thing we're going to do is spend about 40 minutes soaking this down. And then I'm going to panel it all off and show how to section it out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to section all this up, or separate all this out, so that we're cutting the right parts and the right panels. So to make this easier, we're going to separate the back from the front first. So I'm going to go from the front to the back down the middle. We're going to split it side to side. This doesn't need to be perfect because this is just so that we can separate this next bit. And then from here, we're going to find the highest point of the head. So just put your comb on. You can almost see it here, where it starts rounding forward and rounding back. We're going to separate down to behind the ear. So just straight down. There we go. Maybe a little bit cleaner there. I'm just going to clip all this stuff away in one kind of little bun here and swap sides there then. So we'll separate the top into a different panel at the end, but for now we just need the back. Just going to groom all the hair into my hand. And I'm just going to twist it. And it'll just start collapsing on itself. Just open it a little bit, and then just kind of wiggle it through there. Try not to rip all your client's hair out as well. And then just do the same on the other side. Straight from that point. Controlling this left side with my finger, pulling it away. And you can see all these hairs here are way shorter than these ones here, so we're probably actually not going to be taking much off of here. We're going to need to grow that back out. But I can show you what we would do if we were going to cut it. I'm going to Do the same as the other side. And just slot that through there. Yep. Sweet. So, if you come around this a little bit here, to make sure we're going to have this bottom bit sitting at the right length, we're going to separate from under the occipital bone, and we're going to section these two panels off too. We're going to use that to create our baseline. So we're going to split this again, just down the middle. And we're going to go from the occipital bone here to the corner here with this other panel that we've done. So just straight across, point of the combs, grabbing this finger here. We'll comb this down. Make sure that's nice and even. I just want to make sure that this is all neat. We can just clip this out the way over here. And then we're going to go from this point again. Just a little bit further down there. You can see where these little short ones start getting a bit fiddly in here. Sweet. I'm just pulling it so this is tight and out the road. Right, so now we have a little panel where we can build this baseline. So you can see there's little short hairs under here. Are you wanting to just take these all away? Or are you want? Yeah, just where the neck hairs have grown a bit longer. Yeah. We can probably take most of these away. So we'll split this in two again. I'm actually going to use smaller clips for this bit here. And we're going to go from here to here, straight across. Maybe tuggy bit in there. I'm going to clip this out, up out the way. A little bit tighter. And then from here to here. If I don't get this right first time, I'm blaming the fact the camera's on the road. So yeah, there we go. So, you can actually see why this was dipping down in the middle now as well, because he's got this hair that's kind of growing different. That's his neck hairs. And then we've got the actual part of his hair is grown down in the centre, so there isn't actually anything here to come down and meet this. So we're not actually going to take this all the way up to here, but we're going to dictate the length that we're taking the rest of it to with this centre bit. And then we're going to bring these down, and we're going to meet it here and get rid of this headrest. So I don't want to cut a completely straight line on this. I want to break it up a bit. I'm going to use one of these little safety razors. I'm going to tilt his head a tiny little bit forward. I'm going to fine side of the comb and pull it down. Just straight down. Try not to have any elevation here. This is going to start removing weight. We need to pull it right down for maximum weight. And then I'm just going to use this. I'm just going to slice this away. You can see even with the curly hairs, it's starting to spring up straight away. You can see it curling up, but we want this to still be able to come up. And then we'll take the next side. We could split this in half as well, actually. You're going to learn cutting a line here, and then also how to use this as a guide to do a round layer too. So we've got two different techniques going on here in this haircut. Pull it down. You're going to see the guide just underneath. Pull it down here, you can see the guide here. I'm just going to cut along this guide. I'm pulling this straight down, so this is actually going to technically get longer because the head's rounding away, but we want it to be able to come to the same point here. So we're finding the guide there. Just sliding the razor down. So it'll come into there. Same again on this side. You can see the guide starting to fray through it. We're just going to match this in. Make sure you've got a fresh one of these when you're doing this, because this needs to be sharp. You don't want it dragging along the hair. That's fine for some reason, for some things that you're doing, but when you're trying to cut a line in, it needs to cut the hair clean. And then the last two panels. And this is all under his bone here, because this is going to start rounding this way, and this is going to dip in this way, so it's just on that kind of point, and this will be different on everyone's heads. Comb in at the root, along the scalp, pull it down, push the comb with your fingers, maximum tension, zero elevation. You can see the guide. We're just going to slice along again. We want this line to be broken up. We don't want it to be dead straight. We want it to be shattered and messy, but still have this overall kind of length that it's sitting to. We've got our guide here. We've got the meeting point there. Be careful, something I did there. I actually started pulling the hair this way by accident as I went, so just be mindful of that. We'll start creating graduation. Sweet, so. It's now sitting to a nice even length here. So this should give us a nice guide for the rest of this. He says where he's having the most trouble is all the weight at the back, so that's why we're going to do a round layer. Take the corners down, we're just going to layer it. Remove some of that weight. So we'll see where this hair has fallen to, and we'll see if we're going to fully connect it or if we're going to disconnect it a little bit from the baseline underneath. So always work with clean sections when you're cutting long hair. Always work with clean sections on all hair, to be fair, but especially long hair. Comb all this out of the way. And just use a clip to keep this out of the way. I'm going to come down the middle again. I'm going to have a profile guide right down the back of the head. And you can even see, even just combing that away, even the roots on in amongst this aren't completely soaked, just because of how thick his hair is. So make sure, even as it's drying, that you keep re-soaking the hair. Maybe come side on for this one. So let's try and find where we just cut. So we're going to have a guide around the occipital here that we can potentially use. I'm going to bring his head up super straight. And there we have the guide there. So, happy to lose a bit that much off the back? Yeah. Perfect. So if you really want to be super clean and you find it hard to actually control all this hair at once, especially this first section, break it in two. Don't really need to clip it, but so we're going to come straight out from base. We're going to find our guide here. Another good way to make sure that you're doing this exactly how you need to be doing is to look in the mirror. So I don't know if you can maybe film like on a round layer, everything has to come out from the base. We're gonna take a bit of a guide here. And then this is going to come, find the guide. Make sure all the roots are coming straight out from the head. Find there. Cool. And there's our guide for the rest of the haircut. So I'm going to split this in half. And then I'm going to, from this point, pivot round. So you can see where I'm taking this from. Maybe not that thick though. Make sure you're grooming the hair down as well there. You can see how fast it's sort of getting tuggy and such thick hair. So this section came straight out. This section is going to come straight out all the way around. So you can imagine it's creating a semicircle or a half circle all the way around the head, whilst also coming out completely square. That's going to make it a layer. So we can actually start from the top of the section now, which I find a lot easier to do. And we're going to work our way down the sections. So find the guide there. And if we look just from above here, if you could show that, our old sections come into our new section, and our new section should be coming from the base, straight out. It's going to mimic the head shape. Find the guide. And then we should get to about here. Should start joining in with this bottom length. Yeah, there we go. All these start falling away because they're not long enough to meet that point. So we're going to go here, split in half again. Make sure we've got a bit of a guide. Perfect. Split this out the road. Pivot from this point, straight down again. This is going to come out to here. flat.
Ew. What is she talking about?
Don't know what they're doing. You just want to know, hey.
I know, it's nosy.
We might actually start seeing a bit of a difference in how much is coming off here now. Because it actually was getting longer before because it was square and it had that corner built up. So, comb this away. Last couple sections on this side. The hardest thing about doing long hair as well is just the fiddliness of it. But the more you do it, the easier you get at using all your different fingers to hold and control different bits of the hair. Clipping it up, moving it around. Best way to get good at it, just use doll's heads. If you can do these kind of haircuts on doll's heads, you can do them on human heads. Doll's heads are even harder. So make sure it's coming straight out from the base. Make sure we've got it all combed properly. Yeah, so there's quite a big bit coming off these corners now, which is good because that's the bit we wanted to actually get rid of. Keep chewing this chewing gum, bro. I should probably spit it out, eh? Now, before I move on to the next bit, I'm going to cross-check it and see if there's any more I need to take off anywhere. So, I'll split it down the middle again. And we're going to cross-check it the opposite from how we cut it. So we're going from kind of like flat, flat, and then there's a rounder area here. So before I move on to here, it starts coming out more square again. We'll just double check we've cut it to the right length. Or we've put the right shape in, anyway. So we'll cross check the top, the middle, and maybe just above the occipital, because underneath that was, yep. So this is good. We're not building any corners up. Can you see how it's, as if I pull it out square, it starts rounding away. So as we're moving around the head, it should be flat when we pull it straight out. Yep, so here, when we get to here, you can see the length start increasing again. That just means I need to take a bit more off. It means I've pulled the section a little bit. Actually, you know what? I think we might be fine. I think I was pulling it too far this way when I was checking it. Let's check the middle. Cross-check as you go as well. Don't leave it right till the end and cross-check it. And then find out that you've done the entire haircut wrong. Yep, so rounding, rounding. Yeah, should be okay. We've got a tiny little bit here. And if you were going to cut this, you would then have to go back through here. But it should be okay. It's never going to be noticeable. If you want it to really be perfect and precise, you can find where these mistakes have been made, just these tiny little bits, and go back through vertically, but I don't think there's any need to be going that crazy, especially when someone's got hair this curly. So we'll split this again. We'll split this into two. It's drying already. We'll split here. I'm going to step back around here. So now we're kind of coming from the round back onto the flat, so I'm going to be about here. You see I'm pushing the comb with my fingers and I'm gripping the hair tight, and that's what's going to get this tension. And at the root, and fingers, pull it tight. I've got a guide here. Check in the mirror.
Fall asleep getting tattooed, man.
Fall asleep running 500 miles.
Aye.
Max is also going to run the entire North Coast 500 soon, guys, so I'll put a link to his, what do you do, Instagram?
We've got a TikTok now as well.
TikTok and Instagram. We'll bang him in the description. You can watch him do that, because it's going to be absolutely insane thing to pull off.
Yeah, YouTube as well.
Right, so last section here, before we move on to the side panel, it's just straight out, like you would with a square layer. There you go. You can see here, we've got the unlayered side, and then we've got the layered side. And look, you can just see all this weight, all this is falling down here. This is just so much more broken up now. So we'll tan through this side. Same process, just the opposite way around.
It's not until you like sitting in this chair you forget that things like this are an actual science. Do you know what I mean? There's actually a lot goes into this.
It's geometry.
You think, oh, you just go and fucking rattle a clipper up your head, do you know what I mean?
It's all shapes and like where the lengths fall to that you cut them to and that. Yeah, it's fascinating when you go down this road.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Some folk are definitely just rattling you with a clipper though.
I know, but that's it, do you know what I mean? You go to the trucks, man, they just butcher you. You come in here, you get a bit of science.
clipper over comb this entire haircut. Right, so same again. We'll find the guide there. Just from the base. Just check it there. Guide. The roots are super important when you're doing a haircut like this as well. The roots need to be pulled tight. If you pull the hair out and it's like that, and the roots are all bent, this isn't at its full extension. So when you cut it, if it's bent there, there's actually extra length that needs to come to meet the guide. So yeah, what you're taking off, what's sticking out through your fingers is the length that you're removing, but the shape you're creating is what's left behind. So if your roots look like that, none of these hairs are all getting cut to the same length. And then when you actually pull it out and cut it, you're not going to have a strong line. And also, your body position is very important to what you're doing here as well. Like I'm shuffling around the head as I go, little steps. And I'm standing up square, like my posture is straight. You don't want to be coming over like that, because one, you're going to wreck your back, and two, you're going to be inconsistent with what you're doing as well. If you want to be doing a precise section, you've got to be standing precise as well. In a comfortable position, my elbows relaxed, my shoulders are upright, I'm standing straight, controlling the hair. It's just a formula of hundreds and hundreds of tiny little details to all try and get this shape as clean and precise as possible. There we go. Make sure I'm pulling it out. Roots straight, fingers straight, body straight. So, standing on the same side as before, you probably noticed already. And I'm pulling the comb towards me this time instead of pushing. You can still comb it out base, it doesn't matter what side you comb it from, as long as the roots are coming out from the base, but it's obviously easier if you're working around the head this way to comb from that side, or I find it's easier anyway. And this doesn't actually need to take you a lot of time as well. The most important thing about doing these kind of haircuts is actually just practicing them, because it's all muscle memory. Like if you have to consciously think about what you're doing every single little section, it's going to take you ages. Whereas if you just practice slowly on dolls' heads, on clients, and just take your time, pay attention to what you're doing, the repetition of practicing that over and over and over again will mean that you just instinctively pull the sections out into the right spot without actually really having to think about it too much. Obviously, you've got to think about what you're doing before you start doing it and make a game plan for mapping out the hair and what shape and what length you're going to cut. But you should, after a lot of practice, just be able to flow through it. Same as when you're learning to drive a car. First time you're looking at the gear stick, and then before you know it, you're just changing gears instinctively because you know what gear the car needs to be in when you're driving it. It's probably the most similar analogy I can think of right now. Tiny little bit. Last section. Straight out. Straight out. I think they can decipher us.
Need the subtitles on.
There we go. So, if the hair was long enough, what we would do is we would separate the top from the sides here. And we would just continue this. And we would just bring them all out straight and square. There's no head shape to follow here. It's all just going to come. I suppose you could follow it a little bit at the front, but there's probably not really very many reasons you would do that. But because there's not much to cut here, it's maybe a little bit from the top, you know, there's not really much we can do. We can see if there's any that needs evened out though. Yeah, there's a bit just from the top here. Fucking hell. So let's take a slightly bigger guide so it's easier to see. Yeah, we've got that, which is pretty much nothing. You can actually see, because this hair underneath's been growing out, there isn't actually anything really cut into it. There's no cutting line there. It's all frayed and wispy. But there's no point cutting it off until it's long enough to reach where we're wanting it to reach. Having strong shape through that's just gonna do nothing. It's all getting scraped back. So we'll actually separate the top here into a separate section now. We can see if anything needs to come off there. Yeah, so it's the same. Just those wispy bits from the top of the section. And this is only just because this top little bit must have been included in the top the last time this was cut. The panel must have been brought down here, but I would put it up there. So for the top, it's just going to be the same as how you would cut the majority of other square layers on the top. We're just going to do a profile guide, nice and simple. Excuse me. And we're just going to tie it into the back, or with that length anyway. The thing about cutting in shapes like this is, once it's in, it should stay in this shape for as long as your client wants to wear this type of haircut, and they can kind of just grow it as long as they want as well, without the shape changing too much. So if we come side on a little bit here, and we're going to take a guide from back here. Get that out of your face in a second, bro. So you'll find it. See these short bits? You'll start seeing them fall away. We're going to pick the longest short bit. So there they are. They start falling. We're going to go for about this one. And bring the head up super straight. Go from there. You can actually see this one just where there's a gap in my fingers where we lose the tension there. That's extremely pernickety. I really don't think you need to read into it that much on day-to-day clients, but it's good to be aware of. And you can cut this horizontally or vertically. It's just going to be square the whole way, so it doesn't actually really matter. Just make sure your sections are clean. Don't make them too thick. And then your guide's going to come from the middle. From the root, tension. See, I can just get rid of each bit I'm cutting because the guide's always coming from the middle, not from behind. And that way, the guide you've cut that mimics the head shape or counteracts the head shape will help you do that. So if you cut this guide round and you followed each bit, your shape here would still do this, even though you're cutting it this way. To be honest though, if you were going to go round or triangular, I probably would cut it vertically so you can control it this way. You can do both though, it's just about what's easier for you and what, helps you keep more disciplined with creating the shape. Sweet, there we go. So if the hair here was longer, you could split it and connect the top to the sides, but because that hair on the side is so short, we don't want to lose all that. Oh, that'd be too much coming from the top. We want this to get longer, not this to get shorter. So what we're going to do is we are going to style it. We'll do the man bun, tie it up on top, get it nice and curly underneath. But even when it's wet, you can still see it's in a much nicer shape now. We've lost a lot of that weight that was building up on those corners. I think with a lot of guys here, I probably wouldn't even really bother doing a blow dry. I think the way it would frizz out and expand is quite girly. I think the best way for guys to style their long hair is just to maybe use a bit of a diffuser to get most of the wetness out of it and leave it damp to dry, or just straight up leave it to dry on its own. Right, we've now got a hair bobble, so I'm clipping it up like this just now, just to show you how it's all going to sit. Rookie mistake, no bringing the hair bobble, lads, but we move. So I'm going to put a bit of this cream in, nothing crazy, and I'm just going to scrunch the ends of his hair. That's just going to take the softness out of the hair, and we're going to use this to bring some of this back as well. So just going to hold all the hair in the diffuser, scrunched all up in here, and just bring the natural curls out. Tell me if that gets too hot, bro. You can see how puffy it starts going straight away. So try not to touch it too much because it's going to puff it out more. We just want to get it just before it's completely dry. And same around here. Nothing crazy, just making sure it's not soaking wet. And here we have the finished haircut, untied up, nice and layered, loose, nice and curly, nice shape to it. You can see from the start where we brushed it all out, all this weight that was bulking out here and was puffing all out, it's all taken care of. A little bit of cream, barely any product, just diffused it. Right guys, thank you for watching. A very salon friendly, shop friendly long haircut for guys. You can use this on pretty much majority of guys' long hair. Nice round layer. A lot of people tell you to do a square layer on guys' hair, but as I've showed you here, round layer 90% of the time works way better. So yeah, there we have it. Try it out, practice it on the dolls' heads, and if you have any other suggestions or anything else you want to learn, just comment it below and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.